Welcome from Munich, where we bought a few days ago the brand new Samsung Galaxy, or it's actually not Galaxy, it's just the Gear S2, since we have here Tizen OS and Galaxy would mean that we have Android installed. So this is a non-Android Wear round watch by Samsung, one of the most beautiful ones that you can buy. Actually, for 349 bucks starting price, it's also quite okay in terms of price compared to also Apple and Huawei, LG and Motorola. Those are the only companies producing round ones, of course not Apple, but Samsung has here with the Gear S2 and the Gear S2 Classic beautiful devices that came out a few weeks ago, and you can really nicely use them every day for, of course, all kinds of tasks, not only to check your calendar and get notifications, but all kinds of other activities. Like for example, also if you want to use them for sports, they have a little pulse tracker inside, so you can check your heart rate right here on the back. You can see here the sensor. It works like all the other devices work, and you can also change here the straps. We have here the Gear S2 in size L, and inside the box there's also the size S straps, so you can also use a little bit smaller ones, but this was of course quite okay for me in terms of manly hand sizes. So to take these off, you only have to push this little thing out and then pull, and then you should be able to pull it off, which sometimes works for me, sometimes it doesn't. It's quite strange. I tried to do it also here in my unboxing. For one side it's quite easy, as you're able to see, but once you put it back in here in different colors, it's really on here and it won't fall off. It's a stainless steel here. The complete case feels quite sturdy and good, and it's available in different colors. This is black, anthracite, and working and looking quite good, as you will be able to see maybe also in my previous videos where we tested this in a pool, and there will be one also coming out with comparing with other devices that have also round display. So for example, I have here an LG G-Watch R. You have seen this in my videos wearing this for quite a while, and you can see, for example, in terms of thickness, these are about the same, but still the LG looks a lot bigger, clunkier, and more manly. This is also available in a lighter color that's also maybe better for girls to wear. And before we go on, let's just check out a little bit the hardware from the outside. We have 4 gigs of internal memory where you can store, for example, music and pictures. I will tell you in a minute why. Then we have a home button, we have a back button, and then we have here a microphone inside for Siri kind of voice messages. We have seen the heart rate sensor here on the bottom. This is made out of rubber, but for example the classic one is also available with the leather straps, and actually you can buy, of course, all kinds of different straps for this one also, but of course we don't have the standard 22mm strap that you can, for example, use from any other watch like in most other smartwatches. So that's kind of sad. To charge it, you have a wireless charging docking station. This is not Qi certified, so you cannot use any QI charger. The only thing you have to do is plug in here a micro USB charger. That's of course also, for example, inside the box, or you can use an external battery. I use that sometimes to charge your watch. It only says Samsung on the back. On the front it will just have an LED showing you if it's fully charged when it's green, and otherwise it's red. And actually this is magnetic, so it doesn't fall out that easily. Of course when you shake it or do anything with it, it's of course not that stable. And now the best thing that Samsung did actually with the Gear S2 is that it does not only work with Samsung devices, like for example the Gear S, the Samsung Galaxy S6 or S6 Edge, but for example HTC, LG, Huawei, any company will work, unless or you only have to download an app from the Samsung store, which is called the Samsung Gear, and then you also have to download the Samsung Gear plugin. It tells you all that on the first setup, which I will do a video about also when I get the classic one for you guys, but I have to give this actually back today, so that's why we are shooting the review. So I've been using this for the last 3 hours, means 12% is quite alright. We are connected to the phone via Bluetooth, and you can see that yeah, it's working quite quickly, and I will go through all of these pages in a second. So the first thing that you can set up, of course, is your watch face. If you long press it, you will be able to choose between different ones. I will show that on the phone. It's a little bit nicer to show how you can stylize, modernize, and really change all kinds of things on here, like you can do on Apple Watches. Then we have a page where you can access all your different apps, settings. You have your buddies. Usually it would say S-Voice here, where we have timer, but we can change that. For example, you can see I can say I want to delete this whole page, or I can just edit the apps on this page. Like for example, I don't want the timer to be here. By pressing the minus button, I can just choose from something else, like for example, let's get that S-Voice back here on that spot. You can of course also move these around if you would want to change here the order, and just hit the back button to go back to the standard screens. Then we have a little page where you can check out how many steps you went every day. As you can see, I was quite active every day, easily reaching my 6,000 step goal almost every day. One day I wasn't wearing, I think, the watch, that's why it's only 2,000. Let's go on the next one. Then you have your calendar. We can check out, for example, I had today college, and otherwise we just have some stuff here coming up from my calendar on my smartphone. Then we have the weather. Now here with the weather, it would usually need a location, but you can set it up once and then it just gets it always from the same location. And what you can also do is set up a different spot so you can have the weather from different countries and cities. Then you can control my music, for example, that's playing on my smartphone, but also on my headset, and that's what this is quite handy for. Then we can measure our heart rate. I will just demonstrate that by pressing it here and then just putting my finger on the back, and it should actually measure my heart rate. As you can see here, it should be around 80, 90 since I was driving a bike before. Oh, even 100, that's quite high. So I can say I was doing an exercise before, or I'm just excited, or surprised, or angry, or fearful, maybe in love, that's why my heart rate is so high, or unwell. So you can choose here between different things. Let's just say I was after exercising, and then it should be around about 129 and 166 actually after the exercise, so 110 is not that much. And those are just measurements that the WHO told Samsung, and that's why they wrote that below. So you can also see that I was here quite active today also already. Right now it cannot track anything, but we can see at what time what I was doing. Like for example, I was sleeping here from in the morning till almost noon, and then I was active again, and you can see how active I was here in these different spots. And then you can go to the next page where you can see the steps, how many minutes I was riding the bike, when I was active, and how much water did I drink. I can just hit, for example, I was drinking 3 glasses actually today already. I didn't have any coffee yet. And you can also go to settings for the Gear Fit app. Is also working on other phones, not only Samsung, and this is actually what this little area here is. Then we have our standard calendar. We can see all the days. This is also quite handy, and then again a separate page for just adding your water and coffee. And you can set up even more pages, or if you don't like the order of the pages, you can also just again long press here these, and then for example move the calendar before the exercise because I use it more often, and so on and so on. And you can also delete them. That's quite easy. So these are the basics. You can go back home by pressing the home button, and there's actually even a feature by double pressing it that you can set up a certain app. Like for example, I wanted to have the timer here where you can just do different laps. For example, now here, once you are done, you can also check out here the different laps, go back, reset, and go back, and then we are back home. On the first page where you have your watch face, you can also drag down here this little area where you will see that we are connected via Bluetooth. You can again go to the music app. You can, for example, here set it to theater mode, so it won't bother you in movies or anywhere with notifications. And what you can also do is change the brightness. So I'm on right now on number 3, but we can just twist here this little circle on the outside edge, and then I'm usually quite happy with 3. I turn it down to 1 when it's night, so it's not too bright. But there's actually also a sensor inside. So for example, when it's daylight out, so really bright outside, it will set it to outside mode automatically, and you cannot set the brightness, so that you can really read the watch anytime. So from the first page you would usually go to the right always to open some apps, but there is right away on the left always all your notifications. So you can check out your Gmail, your WhatsApp messages, your Facebook messages, whatever, and you can also answer them. Right now I don't have any, but what I can do is go into my apps and show you the different kinds of apps that are installed, and I will also show you how to write messages because it's quite interesting. There's even a keyboard on this tiny little watch. So this will be the first page on your recent apps or on your apps pages. You can also, of course, also add your own ones too, and then we have here a few programs pre-installed. I will just go quickly through them, not showing you, of course, all of them with all the features. The stopwatch you have seen before. We have 2 news apps, as you're able to see, a gallery, buddy, find my phone, and then maps and voice memo. So what's quite interesting is actually gallery. So if we go into the gallery, you will see that we can open up pictures that I have preloaded from my smartphone actually to this device. And if you double tap it, you can zoom in and check out also the corners, which you usually would not see of a picture because, of course, it's a round picture. Here, for example, Oktoberfest, I'm here on the left, but I'm not really visible. So I can just double tap it to zoom in, and then, for example, check out also my shirt that's usually not visible, or check everything else that's in the picture. So zoom out again. and so on. So usually when you have a picture, make sure that the pictures you put on here, the information that is important is centered. Not like, for example, here the face is not visible, the burger is half visible, and the salad is also half visible. But if you zoom in, this will look a little bit better like this. So these you have to load from the smartphone to this, and you can also here not do anything with the twisting, but once you are in one picture, you can twist here from one picture to another, of course. So this was the gallery. You can also check out your buddies, which I have on the first page, which means you can quickly call or contact somebody. For example, I have a full list here. What I will do is just contact my colleague Fuchs, where I could just say call, and then it would call him on the phone or on my headset, or I can just go into messages. This actually also works when you reject someone. It will ask you what do you want to use as a reject message, to quite quickly just answer something like what's going on, or I'm in a meeting right now, anything like that. It's easily possible, and you can of course add your own message on your smartphone, type it in, and then it will be on the device later for quick messages. What's more interesting though is that you can just send some smileys here. This is actually all text-based, so SMS message-based. These are all the smileys that you can send. Not too many, but it's enough for a start. Then what we have here is also voice memo, so I can just press this, and then it would use the Nuance software to capture my sound, convert it to a message, and send it via text message to the colleague. Or I can send an actual text message. You can see here 160 signs. I could send again a smiley here inside that. I'll go back, or just hit here the message area, and then my keyboard appears. Now this is a T9 keyboard, which means that we can just press here once, and then you can already choose from something that I wanted to write with J. I can hit the space to, of course, say I wanted to use that word. Then I can hit the M, the TU, G, and I haven't figured out much yet how this T9 system works. There's no like possible way to just connect the letters, but what you also have is different areas for numbers also, and then different signs here. And you can also change the language here on the bottom. You can go to the settings here on the side to, for example, change the language again, input language and updates and so on. So I obviously won't send a message, so I will just discard this. And now if you know that we are low on power, what you can do, for example, is also just go here to the right in settings. There's all kinds of settings for display, vibration, device, connection, screen lock. Is, for example, interesting to lock with a PIN code, for example, your screen, so nobody else can read your messages from your phone that are always arriving. But for example, you can also go to the power saving mode, which would mean that your phone will go into a gray mode. You can only accept calls, and Wi-Fi and everything else will be turned on, but the performance will be maximized. So you don't only have 1.5 days of battery life, but maybe even 2 and 3 days, which is also quite okay for a lot of people that just want to use it as a phone, not really, or as a watch, not really do anything else with it for the next 1 or 2 days. Otherwise, there's not much else to see here in the settings. Maybe in device, there's a few things like I can do the wake up gesture here, or the double press home key action. I could change that, but I can also do all of that in my app, which I will now demonstrate. So only thing you have to do is, again, as I said, download here the Samsung Gear app. Let's open that up. As you can see, this is an LG watch, and it's actually connected right now to this one. All the 2 other phones are turned completely off. And what we can see is we can change here now the watch face. And let me actually put this here in the background so you guys can see changing it. So I have this one right now, which is here the modern utility. There's quite a few, as you can see here, and you can also download some from the store. Now if I would want, for example, the Bloomberg one, it will change right away, as you will see. And now if I want to customize this one, this is not customizable, but there's a few ones, like for example, I think the wartime one, where you can say stylize. Now this is not that thing, so let's just choose the classic one, say stylize here. You can see here it's already on there, but maybe we don't want the gold with the black. We want maybe a blue silver-ish version, because we have maybe a different kind of phone, or a different kind of color actually for our watch. And we can also say we want maybe silver in the background. Then what we can also say is we don't want S-Health here to be the first one, but we want the calendar to be the first app, or the grand, or the skeleton. Ooh, this looks actually quite awesome here with all the little clock pieces working. You can see that we have December, it's Sunday, the date, the battery life. You can turn on and off the date, and so on. So this is quite an awesome little feature. Then you can just hit save, and then it will appear on your watch usually right away. Let me unlock it, and there you can see it. So this works quite good, and you can, as I said, of course, also create a few of your own and save them here in the list and download even more from the store in the future. What's also quite important is notifications. You don't want all the notifications from your phone going to your smartwatch, otherwise a lot of people will go crazy. So you can, for example, manage hidden notifications, which apps should get access. And what's a little bit sad is that you can, for example, in your email app, you cannot say different accounts, set up different accounts that should just send a push messages. So for example, all my 3 or 4 Gmail accounts will send all my messages here if I select Gmail, but you can see there's all kinds of apps I didn't want to get messages from, but here the most ones I do. Otherwise, you have here, of course, a few other options also you can just read through right now. Like, for example, you can limit the time and auto show details also, so it should not show the details always on your smartwatch when you get something, just when you want to check them for yourself. You can also, again, manage here the apps in order. Actually, you can also do that on the watch itself, but that's more interesting this way. And now we come to the most interesting area for sports people, if you ask me, because you cannot only push images on here, but also music. You haven't seen a music area, or you have seen a music area, but actually the music area accesses the phone. But you can also select different tracks to put. Like you can see, I have put a 2-hour track on this device. So when I just connect my watch with my headset via Bluetooth, I don't need the phone to take, for example, with me running. That's quite awesome, if you ask me, because it's really handy to just not have the phone with you, just your watch, which is capturing your GPS and your pulse. Anyhow, actually GPS, I'm not even sure. I think there's no GPS built inside, just Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth. But yeah, it's handy to just have the music connected between these two. And of course, as I said before, you can just send over different images that you want to show maybe different people on your watch then. So let's go back here, and then there's not much more to see except for you can set up the app settings, like for example which buddies are your favorites and so on. Then you can download a few extra apps from the Samsung apps store, which is loading quite slow right now, even though I have HSPA. Anyhow, so there's quite a few apps already available, I think over 50. And then you have again the settings you have seen actually on the watch also, like what happens when I double press the home key. You can select an app for that. You can send SOS messages. So for example, if you know you're getting kidnapped, you can just send an SOS message by doing a certain kind of things. And that's already it. Or you can, for example, also back up and restore always. Or actually, I'm not even sure where to reset the device, but you can also find my gear. And then if you hit the find, it will just vibrate, because of course there's no speaker inside, as you can see, and the table is now vibrating, and I can just hit the stop button right now. So there's quite a few features here with the Samsung Gear S2. It's awesome that it works now with different devices. It's a little bit sad that it's 349 bucks. It's a little bit expensive, if you ask me, still, but it's not more expensive than what other companies ask for it, so it's still alright. But it's great that Samsung is now thinking also about other companies. And yeah, this was already it with my full review. I hope you liked it, and will subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this, full uncut usually, and all kinds of different gear. Thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe again, and thank you much for watching.